Hi, I'm Dr. Go. This is going to be part 4 of our series on expression and emotion in violin music. For those of you who are new to my videos, I've been a professional violinist for almost 30 years, be it as a professional orchestra musician, as a soloist, as a chamber musician, and the list goes on and on. My hope is that those of you, whether advanced or beginner, will find at least something useful in one of these videos. And if you do find something useful, please let me know. I'd like to know any way I can improve my videos and my presentations, as all of these videos were initially meant as a resource center for my own students. So without further ado, let's head on into the video. Cheers. In the discussion of the many techniques or tools available to the violinist for putting expression or emotions into our music, one of the things that is talked about much by musicians is texture. So what is texture? Many people will confuse color or articulation with texture. Texture, outside of music, what is it? So let's say touching a soft cloth versus touching a rough sandpaper surface. That would be texture. In the case of sound, it's something almost like the quality of the sound. One quality, a different quality. Of course, it's a different dynamic as well. So anything where the sound changes so it feels different, this is texture. Now, this is something that can be confusing. If you look back at a previous video where I said that some people will taste, they will be able to sense music in the way of taste in their mouth, or in the touch sensitive way when they feel certain music. This is what we mean by texture as well. So however you feel your music, that is going to define the manner in which texture applies to you. Okay? Then it comes to colors. Colors. One of my professors described colors as coming from vibrato. The manner of vibrato. So the texture, the dynamics, the projection, that can be mostly done by the bow. But the color is from the vibrato. And this, we're going to come to a bigger topic later on, more specific from vibrato. So this is color. The way we do vibrato, from slow to faster, this is color. There are other considerations coming from vibrato, but we will start with this for color. Then we come to dynamics. We go from soft to loud. Okay. Then we have projection points. Projection points. This is not the same as contact point. Contact point means where on the violin string, be it from the bridge down to the fingerboard, our bow touches. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how far away are we projecting. Now, if you really squeeze your bow hard, which is something a lot of beginner violinists will do, they squeeze their bow very hard, your projection is cut a lot. It will sound loud to your ear, but to the audience far away, they won't really hear you very well. They'll hear like a squeezed sound that doesn't project very far. Whereas a sound where you're very relaxed and allow gravity to make the sound, this will project farther. So in that context, we can choose to relax, use natural weight, move the bow close to the bridge. So this sound is going to project farther, whereas this sound is not going to project as far. we can choose to change the projection point in order to do an expressive idea. For example, this is something I will do in, say, Amazing Grace, my own arrangement. And so on and so forth. Just an idea. Yes? And you will often hear good opera singers changing their projection points all the time as well. So this is something that we share in common with many other artists. Now, the big thing of vibrato that affects texture, colors, dynamics. And what do I mean by this? One of my professors once told me, the louder your sound, the faster your vibrato. General rule, but then of course, rules are meant to be broken. What did he mean? Okay, general rule, as you get louder, the vibrato should speed up. And as usual, he gave me a rule or an idea like this, but then that's all. He wanted each of his students to find their own interpretation of what he meant so that we would own our ideas on how violin playing should be for ourselves. We make our own version of violin playing. And that's what each violinist should be doing, is making their own way of playing. Before we can talk about that, we also have to realize that vibrato is also energy. If I keep a constant dynamic, but I change the vibrato speed, okay? By changing the vibrato speed, I can change the perceived energy of the music. So this could be calm, getting more exciting. And even I keep the dynamic the same. The moment the vibrato speeds up, you notice it sounds louder. It sounds louder because vibrato helps resonance. It actually increases resonance. So we have to remember that faster vibrato will increase energy. It will also increase resonance. And the general rule is that when you get louder, you increase the speed of vibrato. So you're putting energy and dynamics together. Now, rules are meant to be broken. What does that mean? Sometimes we will one character, and as we go softer, we want to have a sense of urgency so the vibrato speeds up. So that even though the dynamic goes down, the energy comes up. This is another potential tool that we can use for certain types of dramaticism or dramatics in our pieces. Okay? So remember, vibrato is very versatile and it's something that we can use for many, many applications in expression. Now comes tempo. Of course, every beginning student is taught, yes, practice with the metronome. That's so we develop a sense of tempo, metronomic tempo. But beyond that is pulse, a natural pulse. After that, we have to look at form analysis, chord progressions, hypermeter. What does this all mean? In a phrase, according to the chords, sometimes we have to speed up or slow down with the energy of the music. This is a basic idea from chamber music, and it applies very well to all pieces. For example, a lot of you are familiar with the Joachim Raff Cavatina. Okay, so the beginning, it's basically one tempo. It'll ebb and flow, but as it gets to the B section, it's a slightly faster tempo, slightly, and it's not like one metronome click up or something like this. You can define it that way, but then you have to remember, within this new tempo, it's also going to have an ebb and a flow. So let's say the first tempo, you might have a 4-click difference in the first tempo. The second tempo, slightly faster, maybe 2 to 3 clicks faster, but again, it might have a 4 to 5 click difference within in order to make a phrase go. So for example, if we want to control something, a great example would be, say, the beginning of the Red Violin Caprices, the theme. Instead of counting big beats, I'm counting the tiny beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one way to control it. Of course, I'm going very fast for the interest of time. So this is something that can be used in all our music. You control from the tiny beat. You start from there, and once you can understand it, you can stop counting so much and just go the natural pulse. This is a great way for people not used to taking time and liberties to learn how to do so in a tasteful manner. Okay? So now, bowing and energy. Faster bow, higher energy, slower bow, generally a lower energy. Now, all of these things lead to pacing. Pacing means the overall pacing of the entire piece. So the beginning of the piece, the end of the piece, and somewhere near the end is probably going to be the culmination point or the apex of the piece. So from there, once we have these 3 points, we can determine how we're going to build from the beginning to the culmination point in terms of dynamics, energy, projection points, texture, color, etc. until we reach culmination point, and then use those same ideas coming down. Instead of being from less energy to more energy, from the beginning to the culmination point, we're going from culmination point to the end. So usually it's coming down from the culmination point in energy to a beautiful tapered ending. Sometimes the culmination point will be the softest point in a piece, but the highest energy. This is a different sort of art, and it is very effective. Depends on what the composer wrote and the intention of the artist. So, whatever it may be, whatever the choices are, at least now you have your ideas on pacing. And this comes into form and analysis. What is the form of the piece? Most pieces will have the culmination point somewhere between 3/4, 7/8, or 15/16 to the back of the piece. The ratios may be different from piece to piece. That's fine. It's whatever the composer decides. Analysis would be like chord analysis, which we talked about in the previous video. So these all are just tools so we can learn the music, and from what we learn, we can make good decisions on how we want to express ourselves. This is by no means a deep, thorough discussion. This video is not meant to do so. It's just to share some ideas on things to consider. So, in that, I hope all of you really have a great journey on this amazing instrument, the violin. Cheers.